My name is Janice Rogers, and I'm going to give you my industry leader speech on William Wallace Grainger. William Wallace was in second grade, and he lived on his family farm. It was a 40-acre farm, and when he wasn't in school, he spent his time digging up earthworms and selling them to the local fishermen. So even at a very early age, he was learning to be a businessman. Throughout my speech today, I'm going to share with you why William Wallace Grainger was a leading industry leader, why he was able to build a company from 2 employees to more than 23,700 employees, and give you more information about the company that he created. I am able to speak to you about this today because I am an employee of Grainger Industrial Supply. I've been impacted by the mark that William Wallace Grainger left on the company, and I can certainly speak to the great ethical standards that he had. He desired to sell a decent product to good people, and he valued his customers and most of all his employees. I can certainly attest to that. The main points that I'm going to be going over today. I will begin by providing you with a background of who William Wallace is, or Bill. Next, I will talk to you about the struggles and triumphs that Bill and Grainger faced. And finally, I will discuss the current state of Grainger. William Wallace was born on July 5th of 1895 in Chicago. He graduated from a junior college in 1915, and in 1915, that same year, he joined the fights in World War I in the Navy. He was offered a higher position, but he left as Chief Petty Officer and decided to further his education, where he graduated from the University of Illinois with an electrical engineering degree, and he left with that degree, and he pursued his first job, where he worked on motors, electric motors, and he occasionally had the opportunity to sell motors. It was at his first job that he was able to meet his wife, Hallie. He and his wife, Hallie, they married, and they were married for 59 years of his life. They had 2 children, Barbara and David. Bill loved to sell motors, and he was actually really good at selling motors. He was so good, in fact, that his boss actually told him that he couldn't continue to sell motors because he was being outpaid. He was making more money than the leaders of the company were making. And so Bill said, well, I'm out of here. And in 1927, he founded W.W. Grainger. So Bill set out on his own, and it was just himself as an employee and his sister Margaret. And this company was just a mail order company, and the catalog was called the Motor Book. The Motor Book was an 8-page catalog that had 41 items, and they sent out postcards, and the postcards were sent back, and that's how the orders were placed. They actually did really well because motors were really popular and starting to really grow at this time. People really used a lot of motors for like milking machines and compressors and fans, and it just really was the time to grow. But if you think of the year 1927, then you have to start thinking of what was coming next. And in 1929, that's when we had this big crash of the market. So in 1929, the stocks fell, and somehow still during that time, Bill and Grainger still profited. Motors were popular, and he was selling a decent product to good people, and he continued to thrive. He turned a profit during the time. So in 1933, Grainger was still able to open their first branch. They opened their first branch in Philadelphia, and a few years later, in 1938, they were able to start manufacturing some of their very own items. So you may ask, how did they do that? Well, William Wallace Grainger, he believed in a company where you value your employees and you make sure that you show your employees that you value them. He was one of the very first companies that set out profit sharing for his employees. So he also set up the Grainger Trust Fund, where he donates millions and millions of dollars to different foundations and organizations where the employees have a choice of where that money goes. So that's a really great piece that they have. So each year you can go to the Grainger website and see kind of where that money goes, and you can even have a say of where that goes if you're an employee. He also decided to, keep that in the family. So, in his son David Grainger decided to join the company in 1952. In 1952, after World War II, David Grainger graduated as well with a electrical engineering degree, and he followed in his father's footsteps and joined the ranks of Grainger. So in 1968, Grainger went public with $89 million in sales, 92 branches, and 1,200 employees. So at this time, William Wallace decided it was time for him to step down as president, and he turned over the reins of the company to his trusted advisor and also to his son, David Grainger. In 1982, unfortunately, William Wallace Grainger did die. He was 87 years old. In my research, I found that it was interesting because this year, Grainger Industrial Supply did turn 87 years old. So where is Grainger now today? Well, Grainger is actually worldwide. So the vision that William Wallace had carried on, and that's why we were able to do that. The catalog that is printed annually has more than 900,000 products in it, and we have many more. They're actually just not able to be printed in the catalog because it's already so big with more than 5,000 pages. Grainger has more than 23,700 employees, housed in over 709 branches and 33 distribution centers. And last year, they were reported earnings of $9.4 billion in sales. So, again, in this speech, I was able to share with you why William Wallace Grainger was an leading industry leader, why he was able to build a company from 2 employees to more than 23,700 employees, and give you more information about the company that he created. So William Wallace Grainger set out to sell motors. He had an entrepreneurial spirit, and which led to the great company that exists today. Today I informed you of the great man that brought about a powerhouse company. He truly was a man that knew how to get it done, which is Grainger's slogan today. I'm proud to live by that mantra. I provided you with a background of what made William Wallace Grainger the great leader that he became, followed by the struggles and triumphs of creating Grainger, and I filled you in with how Grainger is doing today. With the information you now have, there is no doubt that the company that was created in the name of William Wallace is a force to be reckoned with, and it stands to this day because of the great foundation that he built it on. I was also able to gather this information in part because of the great books that were provided. The Legend of Grainger, the Grainger website, and many great scholarly resources that I have in my works cited. Thank you so much for this opportunity.